What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today I am doing a Snorlax VMAX deck profile for Ultra Prism through Sword and Shield. Unlike the other Sword and Shield deck profiles I've been doing, I have not seen any other deck lists that influenced this one. So this one's pretty unique. I came up with it on my own. But it is still a preliminary deck list, and I'll be working on it as time goes on. Before we go into the deck profile, I want to shout out PotownStore.com. You can use code Celio for 5% off there, and they specialize in PTC geocodes that they automatically email after purchase. And then also FlipsideGaming.com, use code Celio all caps for 10% off of your next order there, $10 or more. So, Snorlax VMAX, I wanted to do something with this deck, making the VMAX a bulky attacker that you try to just keep one alive. So I've built Welder Snorlax VMAX. I'm using the Cinccino that's new as the draw engine, and the Snorlax VMAX is our main attacker, and really one of our only attackers other than the one Victini V. And like I said, I just want to try to keep one Snorlax VMAX alive and just truck through with that until the end of the game. And of course, if we hit any walls like the Zamazenta that can't be hit by VMAX Pokemon, we have the Victini V. So I'll look at the translations with you guys, talk about the individual cards, and then we will check back to the deck list and talk about how I theorize the deck will work. So Snorlax V, the V isn't really anything special like most of the Vs that evolve into VMAXs. It's just there to get to the VMAX version. So it has 220 HP, Swallow for 60 damage, 3 energy, heal from this Pokemon the same amount of damage you did to your opponent's active Pokemon, so pretty mediocre. And then Falling Down does 170 for 4, which isn't terrible. And then this Pokemon is now asleep. If you ever did have to use Falling Down and then you're not knocked out, even if you stay asleep, you could just evolve into VMAX. And then the Snorlax VMAX, which is our main attacker, the whole point of the deck. This is what the entire deck is built around. G-Max Fall, it does 60 for 3 energy, and then this attack does 30 more damage for each of your benched Pokemon. So if you have 5 benched Pokemon, it does 210. This does cost 3 colorless energy, so I do think some people will be working with triple colorless energy as, or triple acceleration energy as the means of attacking with Snorlax VMAX, and I don't think that's a bad idea. It's just not the route I'm going for with this specific deck list. We've got Cinccino. Limitless's translation for this says it all. It says the ability is called Not Trade. I forget what the actual name is, but it might as well be Not Trade. It does the same thing as Zoroark GX's trade ability. Once during your turn, you may discard a card from your hand and draw 2 cards. So we're playing a 4-4 line of this Cinccino, and this is our draw engine for the deck. And then it also has the Energy Assist, 1 colorless for 40, attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. And I don't think that's a terrible attack at all, especially if we want to Malolana to heal our Snorlax VMAX for a turn and then maybe just hit for 40. Maybe the Pokemon only has 40 damage left, so we can take a knockout with the 40 and accelerate an extra energy to either another Snorlax or maybe the Victini V, or just something that we want to retreat later on after we switch with Malolana. So this card's pretty simple, but very, very good. Just if we set up 3 of them, we can draw an extra 6 cards a turn, which is really, really great. And of course, it's reminiscent of Zoroark GX since it has the exact same ability. Next, we've got Victini V. So I chose this as my non-VMAX attacker, or just my backup attacker, since its energy burst attack is pretty good. It does 30 damage times the amount of energy attached to this Pokemon and the defending Pokemon. So it's an attack that scales up. Its first attack isn't bad. Attach up to 3 energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon any way you like. Its retreat cost is 2, which means we can retreat for free with Balloon attached to it. Energy burst only costs either a welder to attack or an energy and then another energy attachment, which we can do if we're just tanking with Snorlax VMAX for the game. And also, it's not a GX Pokemon, which means it can't be Great Catchered up, and it can't be walled off by GX walls like Keldeo GX. So I think not being a GX is very good, and also Victini is a solid attacker for just 2 energy, which is why I chose Victini. It's really there as a Zamazenta counter, but it can also be used just against anything that's fire weak, or if you want to use a 2 prize attacker instead of Snorlax VMAX, or you have a weird turn where you Malolon it and you want to just let your Snorlax sit on the bench because Victini can clean up the active Pokemon anyway. Going on to the trainers, we've got Quick Ball and Evolution Incense. I'm sure you've heard a lot about these since I've been including these in most of my deck profiles, and other content creators are also talking a lot about these cards. But just really quick, Quick Ball, you can only use this card if you discard a card from your hand, search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it into your hand. So discard a card, get a basic, and then Evolution is search your deck for an evolution card. And that has no drawback. You don't have to discard to search for that one. So these are both really good. We're playing 4 of each because we want to get a Snorlax on the board, and we want to get a few Cincinos on the board, or Minchinos, the basic one, and then we want to search out our Snorlax V-MAX on turn 2 with the Evolution Incense. So some more trainers from Sword and Shield that I have translations for. Hyper Potion. So heal 120 damage from one of your Pokemon, then discard 2 energy from that Pokemon, and you have to have 2 energy to discard for this effect. So on a turn where you're not using Malolana, this turns Welder into kind of a pseudo Malolana. So if you can Welder 2 energy onto your Snorlax and then Hyper Potion them off, you've essentially played Welder Hyper Potion, which is dropping 2 cards, and then drawing 3 off the Welder. So you're going +1, plus you're also healing 120, whereas with Malolana, you're going -3 and healing 120. But this also means you have to have the fire energy, so if you count the fire energy into that, then you're going -1. But maybe you got 3 back with fire crystals, so then you're going back to +1 again. There's a lot of ways you could look at it, but I think it's a pretty efficient way to heal if you don't have the Malolana, or if this just works out better based on your hand and you would like to draw some more cards with the Welder. Balloon, like I mentioned before when I was talking about Victini's retreat cost, it's really simple. The retreat cost of the Pokemon this card is attached to is 2 colorless less. It's just a worse Floatstone, really, but Floatstone is a very powerful card, and I didn't expect them to reprint that, and I think Balloon is just fine. Citrus Berry, I'm really happy to see some berries being usable, and they're also pretty similar to how they interact in the video game. At the end of each player's turn, at the end of either player's turn, if the Pokemon this card is attached to has 3 or more damage counters attached to it, or I'm sorry, 3 or more damage counters on it, the translation reads attached to it. So if the Pokemon this card is attached to has 3 or more damage counters on it, heal 30 damage from that Pokemon, then discard this card. So this can be paired with Hyper Potion or Malolana to effectively heal 150 in a turn instead of 120. And then Normal Rod, shuffle up to 2 Pokemon and up to 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. And just the note, this can shuffle 1 to 4 cards. So 1 Pokemon, 1 energy, 2 Pokemon, 2 energy, or 0 of either and just one of the other. Any combination of those. So looking at the deck again, now that we've talked about the translations for the new cards, like I said, I want to make this a deck where we tank with Snorlax, and Snorlax VMAX is our main attacker. So Snorlax VMAX does 210 a turn for the fire energies, for the 3 fire energies, so we have 2 turns to hit Welder, essentially. Of course, if we're going first with the assumed rule changes that will come with Sword and Shield, you cannot play a supporter going first, but we're trying to set up our Cincinos anyway to get to draw more cards a turn to hit that 1 Welder that we need. The reason this is quite different than other Welder decks that we have now previous to Sword and Shield is we can just get 1 Welder and be good for the game as long as we keep our Snorlax alive. Now, of course, if we're playing against a heavy hitter, Snorlax can go down. If we're playing against like a Reshizard and it swings in 300 into us, we can only heal we can heal with Malolana 120, and then we can heal Hyper Potion 120, and then we can heal Citrus Berry 30, so that's a total of 270. But if we did that, then we likely won't have enough energy to attack because of the Hyper Potion, so maybe that's where attacking with Cinccino for a turn comes in, or attacking with Victini V for a turn comes in. And also, if a lot of the Pokemon that can do a ton of damage to Snorlax VMAX, enough to make it so we can't attack with it in successive turns. They're putting a lot of resources into one Pokemon, like 6 energy on a Mewtwo tag team or 6 energy on a Reshizard. And most of the newer cards aren't going to be getting into the range of being close to one-shotting Snorlax VMAX, so that's also good. I've put the Ninetales line in here because I think Gusting is very, very powerful. It's going to be kind of like it was at Worlds, where people expected custom catchers to be the only gust effect, and so that they wouldn't be getting gusted every turn. With Ninetales, with Sword and Shield coming out, there's not a V catcher, right? There's a great catcher and there's custom catcher. So V Pokemon are a little safer, but if you have Ninetales, you can be gusting anything you want. So I think Ninetales is a good fit. Of course, we can't gust as often as you can with something like an Ability-Zard deck because we're running less energy, but I also wanted to get into that. So we're running 12 energy and 2 Fire Crystal, and that is because of what I mentioned earlier. We only need to get one good welder early on, and then we can keep healing this Snorlax VMAX. So if it takes us a while to hit our next welder, it should be okay in theory if we're keeping this Snorlax alive and we're drawing many cards a turn with our initial welder and then our Cinccinos and then our Acrobikes. So the ideal setup is going to be get a couple of Minchinos down turn 1, get your Snorlax down turn 1, maybe send up something like a Minccino or a Vulpix or a Ditto into the active so your Snorlax doesn't get hit. And then turn 2, you're going to want to evolve your Snorlax VMAX and your Cinccinos. Hit a welder if you didn't turn 1, or if you couldn't turn 1 because we're going first. And then start swinging for 180 to 210 damage a turn while also healing. So I'm really banking on the draw power of Cinccino to help get us there. That's why there's only 7 supporters and only 4 of them are draw supporters. We also have the Acrobikes to help us dig a little bit. So, but like I said, this is a preliminary deck list, and I have not tested it yet, but I do plan on testing these decks very soon. So be sure to look forward to battles between these preliminary Sword and Shield decks. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Let me know what you're working on for Sword and Shield, or even what you're working on with Snorlax VMAX. If you've made a welder list, maybe how it differs from mine. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content. And like I said, check out my sponsors, Potown Store and FlipsideGaming.com. I'm really happy to be working with both of them. And I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.